Yo, what's up, people? So today I want to talk about something super exciting. Taxes. So I got a question on one of the videos about paying taxes with Uber. So I want to talk about that. And this is before I get into this, I'm not claiming to be a tax expert. I'm not a tax expert, but I have been self-employed for a little while now, about 7 years, I think, maybe 8 years. It's been a while, and I've been at stages where I've handle the taxes myself to where I'm now, where I have an accountant that handles it for me. So I do feel like I have, a bit of experience in taxes from doing it myself and having an accountant and being able to divulge some of that. And if it's something that helps people, then hopefully, it's something, something that you can use to maybe build on and, learn more about this whole stuff, because it is an important subject, whether I mean, we all got to pay taxes, right? It's one of those things. Nothing certain in life but death and taxes. Well, really just death. Taxes it just sucks, but it's gonna be done. But anyway, by the way, real quick, I'm in the UK, so the things I'm saying are pretty much UK based. That being said, I think some of what I'm about to say might apply to other countries, but it's worth checking for yourself. And another thing as well, although this is maybe more geared towards people who are self-employed, if you are employed, it's still worth checking your taxes. This is something I think a lot of people don't realize, that even if you are employed, even if you have an employer, you get your paycheck and it says your taxes are paid. A lot of times, look, I've been there myself, you feel like, oh, I don't have to worry about your taxes, it's all done for you, it's all good, don't worry about it. It's worth checking your taxes every single year, because most likely you've overpaid your taxes if you are employed. If you have a job and you get paid £2,000 one month, the next month maybe do some overtime, so you get £2,500. Next month you don't work so many hours, maybe you get £1,500. By the time you get to the end of the year, you've most likely overpaid your taxes. So it's worth getting your P60 each year from your employer, checking what you've paid versus what you should have paid, and if you've overpaid your taxes, make sure you are claiming it back, because you don't always get it back automatically. I know sometimes you do, because I've had that as well, where you just get a check in the post and it's like, oh wow, cool, awesome, I don't have to do anything, and you kind of assume because of that anytime you overpaid, they'll just get, yeah, it's fine. You most likely won't. Most likely you will not get an automatic rebate. So you make sure you're checking each year. You can actually claim your taxes back, I think up to about 4 years. I might be wrong on that, but I think like 3 or 4 years you can claim back. So yeah, it's worth checking your taxes over your last few years. Get your P60, check what you have paid versus what you should have paid. And if you've overpaid, make sure you're claiming it back. And if you've underpaid your taxes, then we don't need to talk about that. But yeah, it's worth checking just to make sure that you've not overpaid, because most likely if you're employed, you've probably overpaid and you might not realize that. And it's not, by the way, it's not like it's nothing to do with your employer. It's not like their fault. It's nothing like that. It's just kind of how things go. It's just the way the systems work and the way things go. Nobody's at fault with it. It's not like a conspiracy or anything like that. It's just the fortunate nature of how these things work. You've most likely overpaid your taxes, so it's worth checking and make sure you claim it back if you have. All right, so paying taxes. So whether you're, it doesn't matter if you're Uber or any kind of self-employment, it's all the same thing. You either do it yourself or you have an accountant. And I would recommend having an accountant, especially if you are doing this full time. I have an account which I pay £23.40 per month for. You might be able to get cheaper ones. You can definitely get more expensive ones. But just get, if you can find someone that is decent. Of course, you don't want to go too cheap and the person don't know what they're doing. But find an accredited accountant, someone who knows what they're doing, that charges a reasonable price for you. But I think it's worth it. It might sound like a lot, especially if you're not used to having one. The idea of paying for something that you've been doing yourself for the last few years, it's kind of like, why bother, right? But the time you save for not doing all that kind of stuff, plus the expertise you get from people who know what they're talking about, it's worth it, and especially over the last few months of this pandemic, they've made my accountant, and I'm sure other accountants have been doing this as well, just sending out lots of information about various schemes and various places of help, and just information about what to know about businesses and stuff. And to be fair, not everything's going to apply to you, what they send you, because they deal with so many different types of businesses. But what does apply for you, you can use it to, at least try to use it to the best of your ability. So yeah, I would definitely recommend having an accountant if you're doing this full time. Now, if you're doing this part time or, you know, just like every now and then, that kind of thing, it might not be worth getting an accountant just because the money that you're making, you don't want to spend it all on an accountant, right? You're not making that much money from it anyway. So in that case, yeah, you might want to do your taxes yourself. And doing your taxes yourself, it sounds daunting, but to be honest, it's not the most difficult thing. I mean, once you've done it, once you do it, it's gonna look, you got like a lot of things to fill out, a lot of things to keep track of. So you know, it looks a bit daunting, and you're gonna see lots of words that you might not understand right away. The HMRC website is where you go to do pay taxes. You do it for a HMRC website. You'll see like a lot of like question mark things like that on the side. You'll be able to click those and it'll tell you what it means by certain things. It does give you a lot of help. I mean, as much as I hate paying taxes, I mean, credit where credit's due. The HMRC website does provide a lot of help and a lot of assistance when it comes to paying your taxes, because they want their money. So it's in their interest to provide a lot of information about what things mean and what you're supposed to be doing. But one of the things I'd say as well is that whether you have an accountant or whether you do it yourself, either way, it is worth keeping track of your finances. Keep track of the money that you spend. Keep track of the money that you have coming in. Create an Excel spreadsheet, or go to Google and use the Google Sheets that you can do for free on Google, or any kind of software that you might prefer. But just keep track of anything that you spend towards your business, any business costs, so money going out, and then keep track of money coming in. So when Uber sends you your paycheck, or if you do a job for, you know, if you're an actor and you do a gig somewhere, they pay you. Keep track of that. If you're a poet and you do a gig somewhere, they pay you. I guess poets and comedians and people on stage aren't doing too much work now, but anything you do towards your business, when you get your pay, keep track of that. Have that come in. Keep track of that. And like I said, that's whether you have an accountant or not. It's just worth having for your own records, just so you have an idea of what you're bringing in and what you're spending, and you know where your profit margin is each month. It's just worth keeping tracks of that. And also, it might sound like an obvious thing, but because you are paying your taxes, again, whether you have an accountant or whether you're doing it yourself, because you are still paying your taxes, when you get your money, don't spend it all at once. Right? Don't spend it all at once. You know, if you're coming from an employment where the taxes are the things that are handled for you, you know, your money that you have is the money that you have. And when you have that mindset going into being self-employed, where you get your money, but then there's this you gotta consider, you know, your business costs. So whether it's your maintenance for your bike, maintenance for your car, fuel, whether it's you know, it's something that you had to get, you know, so you could do your business, whether, you know, new Bluetooth headset or whatever it was, you know, anything that you bought, you got to be like, okay, that's money coming out, and then the money left over is what you pay your profit on. So is what your profit is what you pay taxes on. And from there is where you got to make sure that you're keeping money aside so that you can pay your taxes each month. So, and by the way, real quick, just so people know how this works, because I might be assuming too much as well, but just in case people might not know, or somebody might not know. So how it works in being self-employed is you pay taxes on your profit margin. So, for example, if you bring in £20,000, yeah, if you bring in £20,000 over the year, and you spent on your business £3,000 over the year, then you pay taxes on the 17,000, because that's your profit margin, the 17,000. Now, and also the way taxes work is that it's tiered. So the first 10,000, well, no, so actually I think it's 12,000. It changes each year. Another reason why it's worth having an accountant, because they can keep track of this stuff. But you have a tax-free allowance which changes each and every year. I think this year it's 12,000 or 12,500. But it changes each year. The tax-free allowance. What it effectively means is that the first, let's say £12,000 that you make is tax-free. You do not pay taxes on that first amount of money that you make. After that, it's between, say, the 12,000 and I think it's like 34,500, something like that, around about there. Let's say that's 35,000. Let's call it that for now. Worth looking up to so you know for sure, but it's around about there. But between, say, the 12,000 and the 35,000, you pay a 2% tax on. 2% tax. Yeah, no, 20%. Excuse me, 20%. My bad, my bad. I'm thinking of national insurance. That's another thing you got to keep track of. Your national insurance. But you pay 20% tax on that amount, and then what you earn over the 35,000, you pay 40% tax on. So, and then what you earn over 150,000, you pay 50% tax on. These gets reviewed. These percentages, the brackets, they get reviewed each year. So yeah, it's worth, if you're paying your own taxes, make sure you are clear on what those brackets are, because they do change each year. And another thing as well, yeah, national insurance. Keep track of your national insurance. That's tiered as well. You have two types of national insurance when you're self-employed, which is the Class 2 national insurance and a Class 4 national insurance. Now, Class 2 national insurance is optional if you are making less than, I can't remember, 9,000? Yeah, I'll do my taxes anymore. I don't have to keep track. But if you're making less than, I think it's like 9,000, then your Class 2 tax is optional. And that's just a set 150 something pounds for the year. However, even though it's optional, I'd say it's still worth paying that, because that's what goes towards your pension. That Class 2 national insurance. Then you have the Class 4 national insurance, which is not optional, but you only pay that if you've made over a certain amount. I think it's over the 9,000 brackets and stuff. But yeah, again, these change each year. They get reviewed each year, so it's worth checking that. There are brackets for the national insurance. There are brackets for your tax, your income tax. Which is why it's worth having the accountant, because they can take care of it for you. But if you are going to do it yourself, just bear that in mind. But yeah, if you're on the HMRC website, they do give a lot of information about that kind of stuff. So make sure you click in the question marks so you can read up about what's what. Keep track of everything, your money coming in, your money coming out, where your profit is. Make sure you put in money aside for things like taxes and any other future maintenance costs and stuff like that. Don't spend all your money in one go. You got to be quite disciplined if you're being self-employed, because it's not the same as being employed. When you're employed, you get your money, you're good to go. When you're self-employed, you got to be like, maybe hold up for a little bit. Let me just hold back just a little bit, just in case. So just keep track of stuff. Don't spend your money in one go. Make sure you keep track of your money, whether you have an accountant or not. Bear in mind that there are tiers for your national insurance. There are tiers for your taxes. And yeah, go on the HMRC website. Make sure you check click the question mark so you know what's what, and you're able to do it. I know, by the way, if you are doing it yourself, it's very daunting when you look at it the first time you go to the HMRC website. It does seem very, very daunting to look at all that information, all the stuff they're asking for. But once you've done it, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a lot to fill out. That's why you need to keep track of stuff so you're not scrounging for things later on. So there's lots to fill out, but keep track of stuff. Once you've done it, it is pretty straightforward. It just takes a while to do it. But yeah, that's my biggest tip. Keep track of everything. Don't throw away your stuff. Save your receipts. A lot of times you're gonna, you get emailed invoices and things like that. Make sure you have a folder on your computer where you're keeping those for each month. If you get paper receipts, keep those in a box somewhere. To be honest, with the receipts though, and the invoices, they're not the most important things to keep. I'd say that if you lose something like that, it's not a major problem, because it's rare that they'll ask you for it, and if you do ask and you don't have receipts, you've got bank records. So it's not the most important thing to keep, but it is worth keeping, just so you could have those records for yourself to come back to. And if somebody asks for in the future, you got it there as well. So they're worth keeping too. Keep them saved, keep them in a box. Back in the old days, everything was paper, so you had to keep it in a box somewhere. Now it's all emails. Just keep a folder on your computer where you save all that stuff. But the main thing, create a spreadsheet, Excel, Google Sheets, whatever you use. Money coming in, money coming out, what your profit margin is. Keep track of that each month. Remember, the financial year starts in April 7th, 6th, 7th? I think 7th. But it starts in April, goes until April the next year. It's not the calendar year. The fiscal year is a bit different. But yeah, I think that's it for the minute. I think that's all for now. So, but it's a lot, and I appreciate not everybody's going to be interested in this, but it is something that people need to know, especially if you're self-employed, and even if you are employed, it is worth keeping track of your taxes, keeping track of that, because like I said, you most likely overpaid, just the way it works. Check your P60s or whatever forms you have in your country to see what taxes you pay, and check out what you should have paid, and yeah, claim it back if you need to. But yeah, let me stop, because I think I'm repeating myself a little bit, so let me stop now. But hopefully that's helped a little bit. Hopefully that's something that people can use, or at the very least, if it hasn't helped, you know, go to the HMRC website or whatever tax websites you have in your country, and I'm sure they have all the information there as well. But yeah, that's gonna be all for now. So guys, thank you for watching. If it's helped, let me know. If you have any more other questions that you want to ask, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, until whenever, if ever, peace out, y'all.